I just love that it's just raining dead twigs on me. That's great. Hey guys, today's video I filmed back in October of last year, I think, and I'm just getting around to it now, just to posting it, just because I had a bunch of videos from that time of the year and I kind of saved this one for a rainy day or for just a time where I didn't have another good video for you. It's got a few things that I've learned how to do better since then. One thing you might notice that contradicts a recent video of mine is the placement of the climbing rope and lanyard relative to a sling when you're negative rigging. So it's really best to put your flip line above the sling, your climbing rope right below the sling, and I just mixed that up a little bit on this tree back before I knew that there was a better way to do it. So keep that in mind. Also remember that Yale, the person I was working for on this job, he was the one on the ropes, and it was his first time running ropes, and I think he did really good for that. You know, there's always room for improvement, especially on your first time, so don't give him too hard of a time in the comments or anything. But he did great. He was good to work with. He kept me alive, and that's what's most important. So with that out of the way, we'll get right to it. Alright, we're about to go up this ash tree. It's in a state of decline. It's still got a couple leaves up there, but we're gonna take it down. So it's important when you're spiking up a tree that you don't just use your flip line. So a nice way to do is to hold them together and kind of work it up like this. There might even be a better technique that I'm not aware of, but this works pretty good for me. And I'm not saying that this is absolutely the rightest way, because, you know, you're uncinching your line, though you're gonna have to uncinch it to move it up anyway. But it kind of, you know, makes a slow process a little bit faster. As the tree gets smaller, we'll soak up our slack. And the thing is, if you are climbing a tree that way and you go to stop and use a chainsaw, you need to separate your lines a little bit. Because it's no good to rely on one line to back up the other one if they're right next to each other and you're trying to protect yourself from cutting it with a chainsaw. You know, I'm climbing this tree and I'm cutting off some branches and working my way up it, and I got to thinking to myself, I don't know if I've ever climbed an ash tree that's this close to being alive. They're always super dead by the time I get to them. You can almost hold the rope with like your open hands if you want. Just all you gotta do is, you know, it can drop a little bit below me, but just, you know, you got to stop it before it hits the roof, which you've got plenty of room, you know.
Before it hits your climbing ropes, you mean?
No, the roof.
Oh, the roof. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I may not have spoken clearly.
No, I'm just lower than you.
No, that's fine. Okay, we're gonna rig off this first little limb real quick. It's so light and so dead and so easy, we're not even gonna use a porter wrap. And we'll give chance, I'll give chance, that's not what I wanted to say. It'll give Yale a good chance to let the thing run and see how it goes, because it would not work well on a porter wrap. Ow. Oh, there it goes. Whew.
There it is.
I'm so sorry.
Come on down.
Did it hit anything bad?
I didn't expect to even suspend it like that. I thought it would just drop.
Well, yeah.
I started to let go and it just went.
Maybe I should have made a little better hinge or something so it broke off easier.
I think that's on me, not on your hinge.
We'll try again here real quick. On top of this ash tree just being noodly and dead, and generally fun in that way. Looks like there's a good bit of woodpecker damage in it, which, you know, makes sense considering it was a death by beetles. We're going for round 2. Yeehaw!
Good?
Yeah, I'm good. A little swaying in the breeze.
The butt part of wrap.
Alrighty, now we got just the rest of the limb here. Nice, that was perfect.
There we go.
Very good. Now on that particular branch, I cut it up there right next to where I was tied on. That way it didn't load the line too much more as it came on down around. If I would have cut it down here and Yale, if I would have cut down here and Yale would have held on to it, it would have wanted to lift this butt up if he wasn't able to let it down at the correct speed. And so that's why I chose to cut there. I'll deal with this piece independently. Probably just snap it off and toss it. Alright, now it's time to go and rig those 2 tops out. Yay. Alright, we're at the tippy top here, and this thing is a noodle. It's kind of hard to show you in the camera how much it moves, but just my little movements got the top here just a rocking and swaying. So we're going to take these 2 tops independently. We're going to have Yale down there just hold on to the rope. We'll skip the port wrap, and he's got some good gloves on so he can let the rope slide. And he's going to do his best to let him run, and I'm going to do my best to keep my butt cheeks clenched, I guess. But we'll probably do it all with the handsaw just because it's not super stable up here, and we don't like doing chainsaw things in unstable conditions. Okay, we're probably going to do this one first, because we need to use this space to send the pieces into, and this one's kind of in that space more than the other one already. So we'll cut ourselves a little notch. Alright, we got ourselves a notch made. Get our rope tethered on here. Oh, you know what? What'll make this better, Yale, is if you can actually go up like beside the burn barrel.
Gotcha.
So I know it's gonna take a bit of work there. I'm sorry about that, but it'll produce a better rope angle, which will load this stem a lot better. I should say a lot more favorably. Now we've changed sides here. I need to flip this block around so that the button side is away from the tree. Get in there. There we go. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I've got this pointed to go just beside the chimney, but in case it does, just realize that that's your, or just in case it doesn't, just realize that that's your closest obstacle, okay?
Gotcha.
Alrighty, here we go. Where is it at? There it is, right there. Oh, buddy. Come on, you can do it. Here we go. Nice! That was really good, Yale. That was excellent.
Thank you.
I'll have to give you a raise. So the interesting part about that rig is I could feel the curvature of the trunk. I could feel that bowing and collapsing under me, which is not something I've felt in very many situations, so that's fun. Let's see if we can reduce some weight off of this other piece, because it's a little bit bigger than that first one. You can go ahead, as long as it's got a knot, yeah, you can go ahead and pull it all the way up to the blocks for me.
Okay.
Right on my rope, nice. Planted. I just love that it's just raining dead twigs on me. That's great. See if we can catch it. Nice. Okay, I guess we gotta pony up and do it at some point, right? My sawing motion's creating a sine wave in the tree below me. So what happens is I'm not actually wiggling, but the tree below me is wiggling, and the tree above me is wiggling.
Want that steel saw?
What, you mean my chainsaw?
No, I meant my little electric drill.
Oh. I'm going as fast as I can, okay?
I'm not actually worried about speed. I'm scared watching you shake back and forth.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Okay, we've got a nice little notch made on the blind side. Make this a little bit lower. Okay, we like it. So that last one we took kind of brushed, well, it didn't kind of, it actually brushed that oak tree pretty good. And so we're gonna do that again intentionally, just to kind of lighten the lateral loading of this spar here. So alrighty, I am ready. Okay, here we go. I think she's ready to go over. Yep, here it comes.
Ready?
It's gonna brush that oak tree again. Oh boy. Nice.
You good?
I'm great. That was a good job.
I hit the brakes a little hard, but glad to hear it.
No, that was fine. That was mighty fine. I think you used up all the space, which was excellent. I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Ah, thank you.
Now if this thing doesn't have any brush on it, she real wiggly. Okay, I'm gonna get to show you guys my negative rigging cycle here. So what I do is I leave all this on here. I open up the block. I hook this on my belt. Sometimes I close the block, sometimes I don't. Depends on how I feel. Take the block off. I'm running out of hook space. Then I slide down. I would normally slide a little bit more confidently, but I think I'm gonna do a little walking since we're as wobbly as we are up here. Woggle, 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 woggle. I reach out, grab my rope for retrieval purposes. Put my flip line on. I guess that order doesn't really matter, although this is probably better to put your flip line on first. Slack my climbing line, then retrieve my climbing line over the cuts that I probably should have cut off a little more flush. Okay, well that took way too long, but got this down here and tied in. I actually prefer to run the flip line higher and the climb line lower. That gives me good separation. It also prioritizes my stability. You're not supposed to run this lower than its attachment point to you anyway. So then we throw the block on quick. That's not gonna work. We need the next pocket. That's obnoxiously long, but it is what it is. Wrap up our extra tail here quick. Stick it in there. Put our rope in the block. Then, before we hook the rope onto the tree, we cut our notch. I'm gonna cut a notch here real quick.
Got it. You're not tied in yet?
Nope.
Cool.
You probably noticed my chain is a little too tight today. Didn't really realize that till I started climbing. So I'll fix that when I get down. And because I still got branch knots up here, I'll use this sling. Not worried about it sliding off. Also because it's super fuzzy, it works like Velcro on the trunk and grabs things pretty good. Alright, you can go ahead and put one wrap in the porta wrap for this.
Want me back over there or here?
You can be wherever you want to be. Once it's in the porta wrap, the direction doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yep, one wrap, please.
Tension?
If you could. Ooh, looks like our block ended up facing the wrong way. That's pretty lame. Fix that.
One sec.
Yep, take your time.
Thinking.
Yeah, you're good. Let it run. It's probably going to swing past the stem.
Okay.
So it might be good to let it slow down swinging before you get down below the roof line.
Okay.
Okay. And now we're ready to make the back cut. All right. I have never, I've never been in a position where I wish I made a sapwood cut on a dead ash tree. Oh boy. Partially because of the knot there, I imagine. The grain structure is different through there. Also partially because it's way greener than most of the ash trees I work in. So we'll repeat that cycle and we'll keep working our way down. We probably got only 1 or 2 more pieces of wood we'll pull off. And then we'll flop the stick out into the great abyss, which isn't that great for an abyss. Man, I haven't done this whole negative rigging stuff down for like a month or 2, and it kind of shows. But I completely did that last cycle the hardest way possible. It's best to get everything all set up and maybe even make your notch before you pull your rope down to you. That is the most comfortable way to go about things. I guess I generally prefer to not make the notch with my climbing rope up there. I just know I get too focused on what I'm doing sometimes and I forget the basics, and I can't afford to forget to pull this down before I send the piece. So I don't think I've ever made that a part of my regular routine. But you certainly could. I think August talks about a story where somebody cut the top out of a tree without first pulling his rope down to him. I think the fella ended up falling. I think he tried cutting the rope with a saw as he realized what was happening, and it wasn't enough, and he got pulled out of the tree anyhow. But that's a career-ending mistake that I don't want to make. Alrighty, I'm ready for tension then.
Cool. Take a sec. I'm just trying not to tangle the net.
Okay, take your time. Woo, baby. Alright, the remainder of this tree will fit in the space we have here. We'll probably send it right towards that rock, towards that sapling over there, and she'll fit just fine. And so I'm just gonna tie our rig rope on as a pull rope, and we'll pull it over backwards. Alrighty, it's time to tip the stem over. We're gonna do it with a little bit of overkill, the good old 500 here. But we got a pull rope over there to that codominant oak, and we're gonna try to send this little squiggle twist thing, whatever, over there without it bouncing and crashing down the hill too much. Got a rock there that might stop it. Got some logs set up against the white oak tree to protect it if it does roll that far. But I think it should be pretty good. So it's leaning back, so I'll cut a notch, I'll make a back cut, and then Yale can just pull it straight on over. Okay, we'll get out of the way and we'll let Yale pull it over. Yep, go ahead, just keep it going, nice and slow and steady and smooth.
Am I doing this right? Because there's a full slack in it.
Here it comes. Very nice. That worked out real good. So I like to go back and look at my stump and see if there's anything I could have improved, you know, because there's always room for improvement and everything. But anyhow, this one is pretty good. Our face cut was just a little bit lower than our back cut. And then the only part that could have been better is we weren't quite parallel with our cuts here, our face cut and our back cut. So this side is just a wee bit wider than this side. It's such a small amount that it probably didn't matter a whole lot. But that is something to just try and get really good at. And it's just a matter of looking at your cut over here and looking at your cut over here, trying to judge if they're the same size or not. So otherwise it worked out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It was a little bit deep, not so much that made a problem, but on the bright side, you know, when the closer you are to the center of the log, the wider the hinge is, and that's where the hinge gets its directional strength, is in its width. So the general rule of thumb, as far as I know, is between a third of the way through the log and half the way through the log, and we're definitely at the maximum there at halfway through the log. So you can see some little limbs that were trimmed off a long time ago, but are still buried down deep in the heartwood there, and that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So this tree is down.